a second. Basically, we keep this very open forum. If you have questions, anything like that, please feel free to ask. We, the best thing about this group is that you're actually able to interact with each other and be able to ask questions to help each other out. We do the best of our ability to answer them. Don't take what we say as gospel. Make sure you talk to your attorney. Make sure you talk to your accountant. What may work for some of us may not work for you, and vice versa. Okay. There is a whole separate alternative, actually a whole separate meeting, which is going to be happening next Thursday morning for tenants and toilets. That is going to be at Ezzy's on Buffalo Road. That one starts at 9 a.m. Go on to the FFREIA website and be able to check out exactly where that is. And usually it's right around 8:30, 8:45. You can get there, do some networking, and I think Pat Gallagher and Beth are the ones doing that. They are fantastic when it comes to property management. I know they manage I think they're well over 700 properties right now, going on to 750 properties. So if you want to know about tenants and toilets and everything else, be there. Okay. And next week, which I don't know if Scott's going to talk a little bit more about this, but Scott Spear is going to be headlining the next week's general meeting. And he's going to be talking about storage facilities. And I'm going to let Scott talk about what he's going to be doing with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to giving a presentation next Thursday at the general meeting at Ezzy's, I'll be okay, at Ferrari's Pizza. And looking forward to doing that. I'm going to be talking about self-storage, a little bit about my background, how I got into self-storage and what I've been doing. And my background, I come from the residential real estate in Rochester, New York, built quite a business, and then went on to full-time RV and now own self-storage units. I'm up to about 10 self-storage facilities right now in different partnerships. And I could just talk about the asset class and how good it's been for me. So, and just teach people how to maybe find deals. I'm gonna, maybe bring up a couple of my partners that I work with to talk a little bit, and then also maybe talk a little bit about people who are a little stuck in real estate. Just really can't get things going. There's a couple of things that might just help get them started in real estate too. So I'm going to talk about that. Thank you.
Looking forward to it, Scott. Somebody's saying hi to you this morning already.
Oh, thanks.
That's gonna be great. So some of you don't know Scott, and he says he's a full-time RVer. Him and his wife, because of storage, travel across the country. How long have you been doing it now, Scott? Is it going on almost 2 years straight?
Yeah, almost 2 years. We started full-time RV and sold our house, 90% of our contents in November 2020. So yeah, we're coming up on 2 years really quick. So, and yeah, we just happened to be in Rochester this summer, and I talked with Leon about presenting, and he was all for it. And I'm like, great, let's do this thing. So yeah, look forward to it. Right now, I just happen to be in Denver, Colorado. We didn't drive the RV out here. We flew out here. It's our daughter's birthday tomorrow. So we decided to fly out here and spend her birthday with her. So thanks.
That's fantastic, Scott. I'm excited. I can't wait for that. That's going to be, by the way, next Thursday night. Ferrari's Pizza has a meetup room in the back. I know there's going to be networking prior to, all kinds of food there. Actually, because I don't know, is this, Andy, is it still from like 5 o'clock on or what time?
Yes, sir. 5 o'clock, show up, start drinking, get some food. We'll have appetizers and stuff ready. Jake and Kayla are really doing the food and prep part. But I believe there should be pizza and appetizers out before 6, and then again after the meeting concludes. So when Scott's done talking, there'll be more food and everybody can just do whatever they want to do.
Awesome. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, I mean, last general meeting, there were people still there at 10 o'clock at night. So It was a little different than being at Da Vinci. So people seem to enjoy it more than the venue more. And so looking forward to it this time and really think that Scott is gonna put on a great program. Looking forward to that, and maybe he'll give us a little couple of pointers. Well, he outlined a couple of pointers associated with how you might get into self-storage. So that'll be interesting take for a lot of people who are very, either they just look at doing being housing providers, or they just do that standard old stuff associated with wholesaling and those common things that you would think about when you say, well, I'm a real estate investor. And so the pieces associated with self-storage is interesting because it is sort of out on the edges a little bit. And so it's great to have Scott, who's been started off just doing regular things in real estate, like all of us sitting here, and now he's self-storage guru, known all around these here United States.
Yeah, thanks, Leon.
Yeah. Scott, I don't know if you want to kick off haves and wants, and then also I don't know if you could tell if there's newer people on here or not. Can you or
Let's do that. Yeah, is there anybody who's new? This is like your first meeting or second meeting to the group. I can't, because I'm on my phone, I can't really see everybody. So Ryan, I see he's back. Welcome back.
JD's new-ish, sort of. I think this is his first Aries meeting.
Hi,
Yes,
I'm
definitely my first
Madison.
Aries.
I'm new.
There's
What was your
Madison. Hey,
name?
Madison.
Oh man.
Hi, Madison.
Welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I just, good morning, everyone. I just entered the industry, just getting my foot in the water. Recently licensed. I came from corporate America, selling health benefits, Blue Cross and Blue Shield. And after 30 years, I retired and was looking for, I retired a little early, was looking for another means for income and just, you know, to work on my own, at my own pace, and just something that I would enjoy a little bit more than selling benefits to businesses. So I started to, you know, get into real estate. My daughter's into it, and after getting licensed, I became a private money brokerage, but I want to go further. I definitely have an interest in investing. I'm learning so much, and just finding out about all these REIAs and the meetups has just been wonderful, attending these meetings. And I love the camaraderie and just the fact that, I mean, I come from an insurance world where people are kind of burnt out. And every REIA meeting that I've attended, everyone just, and I've attended a few, everyone is just excited and just very vibrant and loving what they do. And I'm excited to get started doing the same thing.
Welcome. Good.
Welcome.
Great to have you.
Thank
here.
you. Thank you.
Now, and I'm sorry, are you from the Rochester area, or are you from another area?
I am not. I'm from New Jersey, and but I recently moved over to Delaware.
Okay. All right. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
Actually, I'm from New York. New York, got married in New Jersey, was there for about 30 years, and then, but I grew up in New York.
Awesome.
Okay.
So I do know the Rochester. I actually had a few clients up there.
Awesome.
Great. Great.
Welcome.
We have East Coast and West Coast. Allison and Madison.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Other new people. Let's see. Who do I not recognize? Well, I know JD, but this is his first Aries meeting, so we should put him on the spot because I
There
know
you
how much
go.
he loves that. If he can, if he's not wrestling his kid.
I was downstairs. I'm at my in-laws right now. Yeah, it's my first Aries meeting. Got here through Andy. Just put my first tenant into my first real estate investment, which is my old home that I moved out of, and looking to learn more.
Awesome, JD. Anyone else that's new? Just real quick intro. I think we're good.
All right. I know sometimes if you're new, you're a little shy and don't want to speak up. So if you're new on here, let us know. Otherwise, we're going to have needs, wants. This part of the meeting, we talk about have needs and wants. If you're looking for a property or you have a property you're looking to sell, or you're looking for a contractor, or if you, let's see. So this is where you just kind of bring that up. It's kind of quick. You talk about what your have needs and wants are, and then we see if other people can maybe fulfill what you're looking for, or maybe look interested in buying what you have. And then we talk about then we'll go into like a question and answer type period. So it's kind of two different things. So on the have needs and wants, if you have a property you're looking for or a contractor, we can bring it up then. And then when we go into the question part of the thing, if you have questions about real estate, that's where we'll go into that part. So I'll kick it off. Scott Spear, lucky enough to be traveling nationwide right now because I'm a full-time RVer, and I'm looking for self-storage. If you know somebody looking to sell a self-storage facility anywhere in the country, I'd definitely be interested in looking at it. Pay big wholesale fees if you want, or I'll bring you as an equity partner. And typically, if you're out driving around, you see a self-storage facility, maybe looks a little run down or a little tired. Those are the ones that we're most interested in. We, let's see, if you just snap a picture of the number or the name and phone number of the facility, there's usually a sign up front, send it to us, we'll call, or if you want to do some investigating and some call on yourself. We base our wholesale fee on, how much information you have, how much information we have to get ourselves. So the more information you can come to us with, the bigger the wholesale fee is that we pay out. So thank you very much. Who's next?
I'll be next because I'm going to ditto what Scott said. Ditto, echo, 100%. And from East Coast to West Coast. Oh, my name's Gabriel, by the way. Hi, guys. And East Coast to West Coast, like I said, Allison to Madison. Allison, if you're driving, get me a storage facility, please. And and then Madison too. I know you're new here, but if you find it, even in Maine, I'll go to Maine. I'll find it. We'll get it under agreement, whatever we have to do. Run down, but any 10,000 square feet and above, ideally. And it doesn't. If it's turnkey or not, I mean, again, at the end of the day, if the numbers work and it fits into our criteria, that's all that counts. And like Scott said, we'll bring in as equity partner, or we'll pay finder's fees. But again, anywhere in the U.S., it makes no difference, because if the facility is cash flowing, it doesn't matter what part of the United States it's in. I mean, it shouldn't have to matter. I hate to say it like this, but money's money, and it works anywhere in the 50 United States, and yeah, even Alaska. I'm serious. So I'll put my name and number in the chat box. But please, by all means, think of me when you see a storage facility, and Scott too, who I love very much. So thank you, guys.
Who else? What else is everybody else looking for here? Let us know. If we don't know, we won't be able to let you know.
Hey, Joe, this is David DiCarlo. How are you?
David, how are you? Great to hear from you.
We've got a fully rehab property that's probably going to be hitting the market in the next 2 weeks. It's 2,200 square feet, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, completely rehab from studs. New addition, brand new garage. It's on 3 acres out in Lima. So if anyone knows of anyone looking for something, it's retail property.
Awesome. All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Lane. I'm an investor and real estate agent with eXp Realty. I'm looking for connections to wholesalers, can be new at wholesaling, experienced at wholesaling, but looking to round out some of my connections in that area.
All right. Are you looking for properties to buy to send to your clients?
I'm looking for both, so personal properties and also properties for buyers.
Perfect. Well, you're on a perfect offer. There's a bunch of wholesalers on here, so. And by the way, for people, don't forget to put your information in the chat box so people can actually get a hold of each other. Who else? Let us know. If we don't know, we're not going to call you. We'll call somebody else. Well, I'll let people know. Joe La Barbera. I do commercial, residential properties, singles, multi-units, also looking for storage, and also looking at strip plazas also, but pretty much anything as long as the numbers work, we're in. I'll do city, suburbs, and then I also have it's actually a fire burnout. It's going to be in the Irondequoit area. If you're interested, let me know. This is not for somebody who's just getting started, and is not for somebody who's never dealt with a fire burnout house and says, I'll give it a try. No. Okay. Fire burnouts are a whole different animal, and I want to make sure people succeed, not be put in a very precarious situation. So if you are interested, it's a single family house. I put my information under Joe Buys on the chat box. You're more than welcome to get a hold of me. Who else? Nobody else has anything they want?
Good morning, Joe. It's Llewellyn Ginther.
Hey, Lou Allen, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today? How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
I own some rental property in Wayne and Ontario County, single and multifamily. I'm looking for multifamily properties, and in those areas or suburbs of Rochester on the east side. And working on a huge house right now that I don't know if I'm gonna put it up for sale or do a lease option on it or what, but working on that right now.
So that's great.
That's it for me.
Perfect.
That one that you have, the one that you have, how long do you think before it's ready to be lease optioned or up for sale? Do you know?
Next month.
Wow. Okay. Awesome.
It's a 5-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 2,600 square feet.
What county
Big
is
house.
it in?
It's in Geneva.
Okay.
Geneva. Did they allow Airbnbs out there or VRBOs in that area? Do you know?
Yeah, I thought about doing that with the house because, and I know a few people out in Geneva that are doing Airbnb, so I know it's possible. But
Okay.
For me, I just don't have the money to put into it to do that. So, but it would probably be a good option for somebody else.
Good. I do know some people that are doing Airbnbs and VRBOs and out in that area, and they're doing very, very well with it. So if anybody's looking to maybe get into what they call the short-term rental, I would reach out to her and find out more about the house, because with that many bedrooms, you probably get a pretty good buck for that thing. So good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Joe? I don't know why my video's not working, but I have not joined you guys in a long time because I have
Oh,
conflicting.
Dan, how are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry I haven't been able to join in. I have conflicting meetings on Thursdays and always take
All
me
right.
out. So
All right,
Glad to-
good to have
glad-
you.
glad to be here. And I just refinanced one of my rentals, and so I'm looking to, smaller 1 through 4 family, or a decent flip. I've got money to allocate to anything good. So if anyone has anything, I'd be interested in doing. Obviously, the numbers have to work for me, and I like Maplewood. I like the 19th Ward. Those are my favorite areas right now. I consider anything off of Culver, depending again on the numbers. And I would consider, it's been hard to get anything to flip, but I would do that as well. So I'm open if anyone has anything decent.
All right, well. Anyone else?
Just as a bit of input to Dan, I noticed that Barrington has a property in the 19th Ward that he has for sale. I noticed it on LinkedIn. So you might want to sort of check out his listing.
What location in the 19th, Leon? Do you know?
I don't remember what the street was. I just,
I like south of Arnett. That's my preference. South of Arnett, west of Thurston. Those are the areas I like best.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so I mean, you might, I don't know whether you and Barrington are connected on LinkedIn or not. I can try to take a look at that and maybe send you some information afterwards. Just put your information in the chat so I'll have it.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Thank you. I'll do that. I still don't know why my video isn't working, but
All right.
I just
Anyone-
send you my email address. Is that okay?
Anyone else?
Yeah. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Morning.
Hey, good. So my name is Daryl. I've been in a few meetings in the past. I'm looking to really build a real estate portfolio, one purchase at a time, multifamilies, 1 through 4, or single families, to buy and hold in Rochester, the city or the suburbs, as long as the numbers make sense to me. And I'm here to do that and really just listen to the people's experience and learn from this group of people.
Perfect. All right.
Joe, I don't know about anybody else, but I have found, I've put in offers in on a few things that I thought were good flip candidates, and just the numbers just get.
Well, let's do this, Dan. Hold on. Right now, we're going to finish up haves and wants, and then we're going to get into some questions and answers and go over some stuff. So I just want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to put it out there for everybody, please.
Okay.
And then, yeah. So anyone else, let us know what you're looking for. Again, if you don't tell us, we're going to call the people who actually called us, or sorry, who actually talked.
Oh, another thing I have too for,
go ahead.
nope, you go ahead.
All right. Good morning, Joe. How you doing?
Morning.
It's been a few years since I seen you, since my first meeting.
Man.
My name is Gregory Howard. I'm stuck in the analysis paralysis stage. I became a student of learning real estate, rather became bird dogging or wholesaling. I'm learning too much information and not taking enough action. So if anybody has some words of encouragement or some things that they have done to get their first deal, to get the proof of concept that actually works. I know it works. I see the big old black and yellow signs everywhere what Joe had. That's what made me get on the phone and call them and ask them questions. So if anybody has some words of encouragement or kind of what you did to get your first deal under wrap and to get your position started, I'm definitely interested in learning.
This is a perfect place to be on. There's a lot of people doing a lot of stuff on here, and we'll definitely get you taken care of with that. We're everybody here is actually in the business of doing it, not just talking about it. So this is a perfect spot. You know, it's great that you're learning, but we'll definitely answer that question for you. And there's a lot of people who go through that. A lot of us have found that. We've all gone through it. So, but you know what's great is that you're actually getting on the call. So that says a lot right there. So that's fantastic. Anyone else?
Hey, Joe, this is Diane.
Right.
Hey, I'm looking for a multifamily in either Ontario County or even Steuben. So just put that out there and I'll put my name in the chat.
Awesome. Make sure you guys put on there too, like, you know, if which might help too, is put under maybe looking Steuben County, Ontario County, whatever, because sometimes they will write stuff down like, oh my God, what do they want? Just you know, because I do that all the time. Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll circle back around, Joe, and I guess, well, does anybody else have anything? Because I'll circle back around and close it out, but if somebody else has needs, wants, we definitely want to hear them at this point. If nobody has anything, go ahead. Yep.
I have one more want.
Okay, Kelly.
Really looking for expertise on short-term rental. We have a property under contract, and that's going to be my next set of learnings, and would love expertise of folks who have navigated that.
All right.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything?
Scott, I do have one thing real quick.
Yep, go Joe.
Which I forgot about. I got a guy who's a very tiny house. Again, not for the faint of heart. It's over in Scottsville, Wheatland area. It's a small 1-bedroom house. It's over by a pond. It sits on piers. It's no basement. Again, not for the faint of heart. It has 10 piers. 5 of them need to be redone. And that's going to go for probably around, yeah, not for the faint of heart. The guy was going to Airbnb it, but he was just like, they actually got into some big commercial buildings, and he's just like, I just want to get rid of it. So that's going to go for probably somewhere around $45,000, $48,000, somewhere in that area there. So if you're interested in that one, let me know. And not for beginners. No offense. Go ahead, Scott.
Joe, what was that place? I'm sorry, I missed that.
It's a 1-bedroom, like 800 something square foot house in Wheatland, Scotland area, or Scottsville area. I think it's Chili Scottsville School District, but it's over the right pond. If you're interested in my numbers on, we've got my number, but it's also there on the chat box. All right. That's it for me.
All right. I do want to circle back around. Dave DiCarlo, if you're still on, when you were talking, my audio was cutting in and out. The property that you had, can you tell me or tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, it's a 2,200 square foot property on 3 acres. 1 acre we've cleared out. The other 2 acres are wooded. 4-bedroom, 3 full bath, brand new, everything, electrical, HVAC, plumbing, roof, siding, walls, drywall, paint, carpet, vinyl plank flooring. It's in Lima, just off of the Avon exit.
Okay.
And it's, I don't know, Livingston County, Livonia schools.
Okay. And is it on market now or going to market?
It's probably going to market. We've got like 3 people that said they're interested in it, but so we haven't put it on the MLS yet. But we'll see what the next couple of weeks. Just got to finish up some touch up. The butler's pantry needs to be finished up, and a couple other small things.
All right. And you said butler pantry, right?
Yeah.
Joe Lavabera, there you go. You got a place for your butler.
You're the one driving around in a mansion on wheels. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
there's no room for a butler in mine.
All
And
the
Dave,
money.
do you have a price on that you'd like to put out, or haven't you come up with a price yet on that one?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be in the 350 range.
Okay. All right. It's right off of the Avon exit, right? You said?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Okay,
about,
cool.
yeah.
All right, good. Thanks, Dave.
And then we also have cash that we're looking to put to work.
All
You're
right.
looking to loan or buy?
Loan. We're getting out of the, I'm trying to get out of the flipping part, Joe. It's just, we've gotten into like 10 or 12 syndications, ATM machines, storage units. We've got our apartment buildings and storage units ourselves. So the flipping is just taking too much time, and my kids are just into everything. So we're trying to get out of the flipping part and just go into the passive.
So you just want a loan?
Yeah.
All right. Do you mind telling us what kind of interest rate or somewhat, or give us a rough idea? Or is it going to be dependent?
Yeah, it's probably all dependent on like experience, and I don't know. I'd have to talk to Jody and see what number she's thinking.
All right. Awesome.
All right.
Well, there you go,
And that's
everybody.
the,
You have a hard
all right.
money lender right there, or a lender right
Yep.
there.
I'm assuming that is short term, right? Like under 6 months?
No, we've done like 1 year or 18 months.
Okay.
We do 6 month minimum.
Right. Perfect. All right. Thanks, Dave. And that, I didn't call on him, so it leads nicely into my last need. But I will say I have borrowed money from Dave DiCarlo, put together deals with people to borrow money from Dave DiCarlo, and he's always fair and reasonable. And the nice thing about dealing with Dave too is, he offers some insight on flips and rentals and stuff, because he's very involved with those. And I have seen cases where he's lent money to people, but then also lend them advice too on maybe the best way to do that. But I guess that leads in nicely to my last want. I am looking for money lenders. I'm doing the self-storage thing. We're typically borrowing money. It's almost like flip properties. We're borrowing money. We're paying 8 to 10% interest. We borrow the money for up to 2 years. We're flexible on terms. Like I said, we're looking at 8 to 10%. And the storage facilities that I'm borrowing money on, I'm involved in all of them. I do have an equity interest in them. So that's what I bring. So if you're looking to borrow money, I'm going to put my contact info in the chat right here. And then, give me a call, shoot me a text if you have some money that you want to lend. Dave, you're already on my list. And the self-storage thing is going really, really well. So I'm looking for a few more money lenders, and that's it for me. So thank you, everybody.
All right, I have one. Not sure if anyone's looking for a big job or not, but it's on Upworth Street in the city. It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath firehouse. Not sure if anyone was looking for a huge job there or would be interested in that, but she's basically looking to just make something off of it versus nothing. So let me know.
That's a 2-family.
Yeah, it's a 2-family, 4-bedroom, 2-bath.
Okay. That was Brandy, right? Who was talking? I can see her face, but I don't see her moving. So.
Of course it was.
All right. I do know somebody, Joe and Brandy, that might be interested in those fire jobs that you have. I just have to find his contact information. I'll get over to you guys. He is a FFREIA member too. Yeah. So
cool. Thank you.
Good. All righty. Very good. All right, Joe, go ahead. I'll let you take over.
Oh, gee, thanks.
You bet.
Just kidding.
I gotta look up this guy's number for you. Sorry.
I'm just kidding. All right, so this kind of we like to open it up to people. I know, and no question, you know, whatever questions you have, put it out there, because that's a great thing about this call. We're able to interact with each other, and we're still all learning, but it's a great place to be able to at least get your questions answered. So who has anything that they'd like to go, or I don't care if it's a deal, question, whatever, let us know here. Don't be shy, people. I know there's questions.
How does the IRA?
JD, you broke up. What was that?
Oh, sorry. I was asking, how does the IRA work for real estate? Because I was at a couple of meetings ago, I heard that you can use your IRA potentially to fund a real estate deal. I want to know how that worked.
I can share a little bit there if it's any help.
I know Scott's also done a lot of it too. So between both. All right, go ahead, real quick.
Well, you have to make the real estate in the name of your IRA, your retirement plan, and you can't self-manage. Scott, tell me if you know it differently.
Okay. It depends on what you want to do with it, JD. Let's ask that question. Yes, you can use your IRA money. It does, as Dan said, it does have to be self-directed, so it has to be with a custodian. You can't really, just take your IRA, your regular IRA, and do that. You need to move to a custodian. There are some great custodians out there. I love Equity Trust. I can put the contact information of our contact in chat. JD, you can see the chat, right?
Yes.
Okay. And yeah, what do you want to do? How do you want to invest in real estate? There's a couple different ways to do that, that's for sure. But how do you want to invest your IRA money into real estate?
Either with self-storage or multifamily, or both.
Okay. And as Dan said, you can use your IRA to buy self-storage and to buy multifamily and even flip properties. The only catch is you can't manage it. So if you want to manage the property, you can't do that with your IRA money. But if you want to hire like a property manager, or if you have a friend or family member not directly associated with you, like parent or children, aunt, uncles, brothers, sisters, they can manage the property for you. And let's see. So I'll put the contact information in. I've done it a number of times myself with my IRA, but I've always had somebody else manage the property. Or if it's a rehab, somebody else has to manage the rehab. You can pay for it, you can do all that, and all your IRA money goes into it. Once you sell the property, or any of the profit proceeds that you get, it all has to be rolled back into your IRA. You cannot take that personally back to yourself.
So let me just interject here for a moment. Certainly, JD, your question is quite a valid one. I guess the only caution I would provide is that we're talking about a portion of real estate investing that is, well, I guess I have to go back a ways. That's when Scott Spear and I first sort of met each other. And we're back more than 12, probably 15 years ago almost. And that was because of the fact that we both have self-directed IRAs with Equity Trust Company. And Equity Trust Company is one of the leading, well, they're certainly the leaders. Seen that Dick Desich, who's the founder of Equity Trust Company, actually set up the first self-directed IRA. The key point here is it can become very complicated. There's like probably 10 or 12 different types of self-directed IRAs, just right off the top of my head, can say that. And it gets fairly complex, but clearly I've bought properties, I own properties in my self-directed IRAs, and it's viewed as a completely separate entity. like you had a separate LLC to some extent, and it was all being run sort of independently with a number of rules and guidelines that you have to follow, otherwise you get in trouble with the federal government. It's probably the easiest way of saying it. But it certainly is something you should continue to look closely, and just wanted to make sure that people recognize that it's not a simple beginning class subject. It's pretty complex.
It also gets complicated if you want to leverage. You really have to find a lender that will allow you not to be personally, it has got to be a non-recourse note. That's, you know, if you pay cash, it's fine. But if you want to borrow, it's way more challenging, because most lenders don't want to do that kind of lending.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it in the past where had properties, and basically you just have to specify quite specifically that the only recourse is to the property itself and does not go beyond that. That's sort of the legal term that's in the mortgage, or whatever the tool is that you're using to encumber the property with. But it's all something that has been done many times. It's just in the very beginning, it gets a little complex because it's not right on the middle of Main Street. You know, it's sort of off on the side extremes, and it's not for someone who's sort of just starting out if they just want to do it. You certainly can do it with help from folks on this particular call if they wanted to volunteer to help you to do something like that. But one starting point would be to actually go in and look at some of the training that's provided by Equity Trust. They provide a large amount of it at no cost. And so that would be a good starting point to sort of begin to build up your knowledge. And clearly, everybody that's on this call right here that have information and knowledge associated with that, you could go back to them and ask them specific questions. I'd be more than happy to help you if you were trying to work your way through some of that.
Leon, does Equity Trust lend to non-recourse?
I missed the first part of it. I'm sorry.
Does Equity Trust lend?
No, I mean, Equity Trust is not a lender. They're a custodian for self-directed IRAs.
Do you guys know of lenders who do that? Because I have a house that's held in Equity Trust, and I'm thinking of selling it, but want to, again, leverage, buy something bigger. Do you have an idea of lenders who do the non-recourse loans?
So,
You'd
I
have to
mean,
find a portfolio lender.
well, that'll be one approach, portfolio lender for sure. But another approach is when I did my lending associated with my self-directed IRA, what I did was I basically talked to a private lender, and we agreed that, you know, fundamentally any recourse is only going to be the property itself, and that was what was stated in the mortgage associated with the property. So you have a private lender that's on the call right now. So you would start off by saying, I want to basically borrow some money. Would you be willing to lend it to my self-directed IRA? And if that person says yes, and they understand what's being done, then that's it. You just have to make sure that it's non-recourse. And the state.
Yeah, but he only wants to loan for 2 years. I guess if you want to hold the property and as a rental, then are you still saying someone would do that?
It all depends on that particular individual and what their constraints is and what the model is that they use for their private lending. So the person that I basically worked with was a person who was basically the owner of the property. And we decided, okay, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna get the mortgage from you. It's the only mortgage on the property. It's in the first position. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna have it for X number of years at a certain amount. And after that, you're all paid for and it's all done. So in other words, the terms and the specifics are something that you would work out with a private lender, just like you actually do when you're just, if you're gonna borrow the money from Bank of America. You know, you come, you look at what their terms are, does that fit with what you wanna do? And you have that same type of discussion, but you're having it with an individual. And so typically that's a lot more flexible. The people are a lot more willing to work with you because they're taking a different look than a large entity like Bank of America.
Just to add to that, if it's something you're going to rehab and have a big increase in value, and what you're borrowing is going to be on the low end in terms of the loan to value, you're going to have an easier time. So if you bought it with 2-year money and did rehab and increase the value a lot, then you go to a bank and if you're only looking at 30% leverage, you got a much better chance. I mean, it's not going to be a high leverage deal. You're going to be able to do that. So if the property itself really does have enough security for the bank or the lender, I don't necessarily the bank, you got a much better chance. So you could do short term and then refi and pay off the short term if you did have an increase in value.
Okay, thanks.
I just wanted to add that we've used self-directed to fund LLCs, and this is in partnership with others who are also using self-directed funds. And there were 3 of us with self-directed funds and 1 cash manager. And in the LLC, we kind of moved around some of the challenges with leveraging because the bank was actually funding the LLC versus the purchase of a property for an individual account. So that might be a strategy that is beneficial to folks. It certainly was for us.
Awesome. Hopefully that answered some of your questions.
Yes, thanks.
Well, I'm not sure that that solves the IRA issue with the LLC, because was this IRA money you're talking about, Kelly?
It was, and again, we didn't manage it ourselves. Our cash investor partner was the manager. His name was on everything. Everything essentially was through that cash investor.
But you were a partnership? Is that what it was? It was a partnership.
Correct. And that cash investor, he was the managing member of the LLC, which is how we navigated through some of the equity trust rules.
Perfect.
Yeah, and also JD, if you could see the chat, I put the contact phone number in there for our person at Equity Trust, and also the website for anybody if you're looking at that, trustetc.com. Great website, great information, great videos there. There is because you're part of FFREIA, you can call John Bowens. He's like the REIA, national REIA person who takes care of REIA people, but also you can call into customer service. Their customer service is exceptional, in my opinion. They can answer your questions. Even if you're not a customer, they take your call. They talk to you about how investing with IRA money works. There are other ways to do it too. I just know the way that ETC does it, Equity Trust. Like I said, they keep me out of trouble. They're almost like my attorney. I'll send them a deal that I'm working on and they'll tell me yes or no. Yes, it follows the IRA guidelines by the IRS. That's one thing I never want to be in trouble with, was with the IRS. That's why I use Equity Trust. Sometimes they'll tell me you can't word the deal this way, or you can't do the deal this way, but they might have an alternative way to do it to make it within the IRS guidelines. So that's something you really need to be careful of. So JD, if you can see that in the chat, I did put that in the chat. Everybody.
Yeah, I screenshot it. Thank you.
Okay. You
Thanks,
got it.
Scott. That's great.
Yep. Good. All righty. Did that help then, JD?
Yeah, I screenshot it. I wrote down a whole bunch of information. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Investing with your IRA, that's a whole nother subject almost. As you heard from Dan and Leon and myself and other people that are involved, there's a lot of ways to do it with your IRA. So good. Let's see. I am Joe and Brandy. I'm going to put the contact information. It's Anthony Ottavani. You guys probably know him. He might be interested in those fire properties that you have. He does have crews that do that. I'm going to put his contact information in the chat box in a minute. And he is a FFREIA member too, as a, people who know that. So
Well,
good.
thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any questions that you want to go over?
What's a BRBO?
I think it was Verbo, VRBO. I think that, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's right. VRBO is Vacation Rental by Owner. It's a website that if you have a size, a house that you want to rent out, short term, typically, it's for a couple days, could be up to a month. Vacation rentals by owner. Don't be deceived by the vacation rentals. People who have properties that they want to rent out to, like traveling salespeople, traveling nurses, but also people looking to go on vacation. That's what VRBO is. It's vrbo.com is the website.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry if I kind of misspoke there. So good. Does that help, Tammy?
Yes, thank you. It sounds kind of like
Good.
Airbnb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Very much so. And for anybody who doesn't know, Airbnb is that's like renting out a room. In some cases, people put whole houses on there. But with Airbnb, if you're looking to rent a room and you're traveling around, or if you have a room that you want to rent out, check the I'm going to say the zoning laws in your town if you're going to do it. But I know people that do it, and they're renting out a room for $100 a night. And if you're getting $100 a night and you only do it 10 nights, $1,000 a month to have somebody come in and stay at your house. Everybody's been checked. There's background checks done on people, and then anytime somebody stays someplace, they have reviews done on them. And if somebody gets bad reviews or if there's any problems, Airbnb and VRBO will kick them off. They'll just block them from the site. So in all my stays, and anybody I know hasn't had issues. I will say some people that done them, people who come stay at their place, and they do leave it, dirty. It's super, super rare. 99% of the time it works out great. There's occasional ones, just like tenants, that aren't going to work out. But the nice thing through VRBO or Airbnb is they have all their contact information and they have their credit card. And part of the staying there is if you do damage, you're actually responsible for the damage. So you're covered there. It's kind of nice. You're insured through them. And it's a pretty nice program if you wanted to do look into renting out, short term, whether
Scott,
it's a room or a whole house.
I have somebody that bought a triple in the South Wedge, and they decided they tried with one of the 2-bedroom apartments through Airbnb. They were making way more money than if they rented it monthly. I mean, way more. So they ended up living in one and renting the other two through Airbnb. It's easy for them to manage because they're right on site, but they're 30% more than they would be in monthly rent, easy, after cleaning fees. They hire a cleaner to come in each time there's a turnover, and they're still 30% ahead. So it is a pretty good way to go. I also have my sister-in-law had a place up in Tug Hill, and she pulled in over 50 grand last year in Airbnb money. So can be done.
I just stayed at an Airbnb last night, or not last night, the night before last, because we were out of town for an event. And it turned out to be a whole apartment, 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. I had a party of 5 coming, so it worked out great. And I did that because somebody had mentioned it at one of the previous FFREIA meetings.
Nice. And my wife and I did that in New York City about 3 years ago. We went on Airbnb and found a place, and it was really reasonable. I was looking at the pictures of it, and it looked like an apartment. And it was quite a bit less than staying in any of the hotels that were nearby. And we went in and literally the same thing. It was a 1-bedroom apartment. We had the whole apartment to ourselves. It was just really nice. We've had really good experiences ourselves using Airbnb and VRBO. So
Yeah, I mean, the short-term rental approach to things is something that's, from a real estate perspective, relatively new. And it's one of those things that a lot of people are actually starting to do. And clearly, for folks who may not be aware of it, there are quite a few Freedom First members who actually have Airbnbs. For example, Earl McCrae, he's one person that I know a little bit more about from a detail standpoint, from a standpoint of his Airbnbs. I've actually had a couple for 3 years, 4 years. And Earl started in January, and now he's up to like 30 units. And so, and he's doing really, really well. And the numbers, when you start crunching the numbers, it's just mind blowing. I mean, it by far exceeds anything that you would be doing as a normal rental. And like everything else, there's pluses and minuses. Personally, have never had anything really out of the way to deal with. I like many of you, like Tammy was talking about. I mean, I went out of town and I did a VRBO, and basically I was in Houston. That's my hometown. My wife, my daughter, her husband, and my 2 grandsons. We were there. It was, so we looked at the cost. We ended up spending a little bit more than $3,000 for a week. But the property that we stayed in was pretty much right downtown Houston. And it was like a $1.5 million house. I mean, so it was like, I don't even, there's some bedrooms that I never went into. Okay, it was just gigantic. It had its own pool, and the advantages was, and I'm probably getting a little bit too specific here, but I basically drove there, took all the food with me, and when we got there, we didn't have to go out and eat unless we really wanted to. And so my point here is you have so much more in the way of flexibility. And as Scott indicated, one of the advantages to Airbnb and VRBO is that if you are the person who's providing the property, you basically have a certain amount of insurance that comes as a part of basically using those sites to actually rent out your property. And so I think like with Airbnb, when someone goes on there, first of all, Airbnb does a vetting of the person on the tenant side and on the side of the actual person who's the landlord, for sake of better words. The property is insured for like $2 million. So, I mean, so there's some components that make Airbnb as a platform a lot more interesting, and it covers a lot more bases than if you try to do it on your own. And of course, one of the key things, you got a network of people across the whole world. So, and again, this is one of those things that, you know, it could be a 2-week class. But we'll cover some of those gaps, and if someone is really interested, then they can do some more looking. And I know a couple of people who do training from an Airbnb perspective, can give out their names and information.
A lot of people will Airbnb a second home when they're not using it. So that's a common thing. But what you're seeing is some of these communities are, there's a backlash for people that are doing a lot of our Airbnb. So you gotta know what the tone is in the community. If you're in a small, tight knit, like lake community where houses are close together, and there's been Airbnb situations where people have thrown big parties, and they've gotten a lot of blowback from the neighbors. So you got to be careful with that. And I'd say the biggest thing, if you're going to be doing it regularly, make sure you have dependable cleaners, people that can come in, spruce it up, get it ready for the next person. If you fail there, you're going to get bad reviews.
I mean, one of the things, I mean, Dan is correct with his comments around Airbnb. I mean, in various areas, they're taking different approaches. So if you're in the city of Rochester, one of the things, one of the things that a number of us do is we go to meetings with the city and talk to people that are part of the city that are looking at doing things associated with items like Airbnb. Right now, the city of Rochester is looking at putting in place new rules that say if you don't live in the property, you cannot do Airbnb in it. And so that's one of those things that you would never hear about unless we were on this call. But right now, that's one of the items that we are pushing back on the city and saying, wait a minute now, you really don't have to do that. That's not the correct thing to do. So, and I'll take you a step beyond that. So that's what the city of Rochester is doing. And if you parallel that with Ohio, Ohio right now is looking at putting in place laws that say you cannot stop someone from doing an Airbnb. So it's completely flip-flopped, you know, and it points out that in different areas, different states, different municipalities, people take different approaches to how they're going to address items and what is the best thing from their perspective. Clearly, if you're in a place, I just mentioned Houston, of course, people who know me know I know Houston as good as I know Rochester and other places because that's my hometown. But basically there is not even zoning. There's no zoning code for the 4th largest city in the US. And it's been like that forever. And I can almost guarantee you, we won't, if they change it, it won't be in our lifetime. I mean, because it is a little bit more, I guess the right terminology would be investor friendly from a real estate standpoint.
Well, you know, it's funny because the example I think of is my sister-in-law had a place on a small lake, and it was really a big pond, and there was no, they had a homeowners association that had no restrictions, but people were putting up signs, Airbnb not welcome. So she had rented it out to some people who were driving into like hostile territory, and she ended up selling it because there was so much blowback from the other, you know, the full-time, even if they were only, it was a second home, but they were up there for a lot of the summer or whatever. And so you got to be careful of the local atmosphere. You really have to look at that, because I don't know if you want to buy where there's all those hostilities happening, because some tenants are going to be intimidated and not want to, you know, enjoy the place. So just be careful is all I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly
Okay.
from that standpoint. But, you know, if you're doing VRBO, it's a little bit different than it is with Airbnb. It seems like people are a lot more accepting for vacation rentals by owners versus Airbnb properties. You know, and an example would be, again, Buffalo. In Buffalo, what their approach is, you can do Airbnb, but it's only in a specific segment of Buffalo. Once you're outside of that area, Airbnbs are not something that the city of Buffalo will allow you to do. So, you know, as Dan indicated, the most important thing to do is to check out the specifics. Clearly, it's one of those things that is relatively new, but the way I look at it is right now, most of the people that's been engaged in real estate for a while, you know what wholesaling is, you know how wholesaling works. But if we go back to when Joe LaBarbera was first doing wholesaling, it was something that people talked about wholesaling the way that we're talking about Airbnb right now. So I'm just hoping that over time, things begin to mellow out a bit and people recognize that it's not one of those things that is going to be that traumatic. Now, if you think just fundamentally a little bit more about Airbnb, with Airbnb, I have like three different things that I always sort of look at as well as that, or that, or that. It's those three things. So with Airbnb, people should recognize the fact that with Airbnb, it's one of those things where it's all about the Benjamins. And what is happening is when you do an Airbnb, you're taking money out of existing areas that involved large companies like Howard Johnson exists anymore, Holiday Inn or some Hilton or some large hotel chain. And you're also taking it out of that state, and you're also taking money from that county and that municipality. Because every time, and I'm pretty sure Allison's the same way over in California, but every time you go in and you rent a room out at one of those large companies, there's taxes that are being paid. And those taxes that are being paid go to those areas that I just talked about. So when you do an Airbnb or someone puts an Airbnb in place, you're actually shifting the dollars. And so I really think to a large extent, that's what it's about, because you're getting pressure from all those large corporations that, hey, you know, we're losing money. And at the same time, the state is losing money, the county is losing money, and even a place like Rochester or any small city, they're all losing money because of Airbnb. So that's the reason why I say it's all about the Benjamins.
Now, I'm sorry, Leon.
No, I'm okay. I just wanted to give that.
No, sorry. No, I actually, and I apologize interrupting you. I think what you're going over, I totally understand it. And I think, was it Kelly who also asked about the short-term rental? So hopefully that was able to also answer her question too. I think it was Kelly in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So hopefully that gave you a little bit more insight. I know we went a little deep, you know, and that's a subject for I could take, you know, a whole other hour and a half. So we want to be respectful of everybody's time here and make sure it gets people's questions answered over here.
I appreciate that, Joe. And Leon, I'd be interested to know your contacts who are doing the training and, you know, where I can connect with them.
Yeah. So just get a hold of each other. That's a great thing about this group, Kelly. So definitely.
Yeah. And I almost think we should have a general meeting on the short-term rentals. I think we've done them in the past, and there might be videos up on the website on presentations in a general meeting. on the short-term rentals, but I definitely think that that's something they should put on the agenda for a general meeting.
Yeah, I mean, we did one back earlier this year that was not, it was poorly done, let's put it that way. And so we would have to go back and look at doing it again. And that's something we've talked about and you should expect to see.
Perfect.
Okay. I know earlier, I think it was Greg Howard, was talking about analysis paralysis and, you know, how to get moving along. You're still with us, right, Gregory? If you're talking, you're muted. Hopefully we didn't lose him.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. All
Okay.
right. And yeah, we definitely wanted to circle back around to that because you know, a lot of people suffer from that, you know, especially when you're getting started and such. What I guess, you know, kind of repeat what you said and what type of questions do you have on that? I think that's something that we can talk through, and I think it might help a lot of people on this call.
So for me, I guess it would be learning so much on YouTube and, you know, going to YouTube University and reading the books. You find a niche, or you find a way to find a deal, rather it's bandit signs, cold calling, driving for dollars. And I found a deal back in 2018, and I didn't know about the realtor's contract and the agreement in the city of Rochester. So when I met with the attorney, I believe it was what's the guy, Tim? Geez, I met him at the meeting. I got his business card somewhere in my car. So I met with the attorney and I found out how the deals are structured in Rochester, in Monroe County. And it scared the living lights out of me because he was like, well, if you don't close this in 30 days, you're going to be responsible. And I'm like, well, that's not what YouTube said. So I got kind of, I got afraid. And I'm like, well, I can't do this. And then, you know, I started asking questions, and then I just kind of just went back to the drawing board. Okay, let me read some more books. Let me just watch 100 more videos, and eventually the videos are going to figure it out for me versus taking action. So I guess for me in Rochester, I got to know how the contract is filled out correctly, because the contract that I had was a 1-page contract and it kind of went over everything. And what I've seen in Rochester, I'm like, okay, this is not the same thing. So maybe I can't do it, because what they're trying to show me on YouTube and what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing are two different things.
Gregory, not to interrupt you, but you know, when you talk to attorneys, they're like a necessary evil. They're there to cover everybody's butt. And when you talk to them, you're like, oh my God, because I've done the exact same thing. It's, oh, Joe, you're going to be this and doom and gloom. But the great thing about this group is you know, you pick up the phone and we help each other out, and we're actually able to walk through that. And I've seen other investors almost walk away from deals, which would have, you know, been very financially advantageous for them. And then I've walked them through it and they're like, oh, wow, this was nothing like they expected it to be. It was opposite of what the attorney told them. I'm not trying to go against your attorney. Okay. It's just that they're there to tell you all the pitfalls. They're not going to tell you all the good things that can also happen.
Well, you got to remember too about videos, YouTube and all that. I mean, New York State has a different environment than other places. I mean, Leon said Houston's got no zoning laws, and things like that are important to consider when you're doing it. So you do need, remember your attorney works for you though, and he could give advice, and they're adverse to any risk. So you got to know some attorneys are against things because their job is to look for risk. And look, if you're entering into this, you're going to take risk. No matter what you do, you're going to take some risk.
Yeah, you're right, Dan. At the same time, as you get more prolific in this and your knowledge, especially Gregory with you, you know, yes, it's risky to a point, but you know, we also mitigate that by what we know. You obviously got all freaked out because you sent him a 1-page purchase offer, which right there, 99.9% of attorneys are not going to accept. But we know how to fill out the purchase offers. You actually, and Gregory, you still have my number, right? Can you hear me, Gregory?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Gregory?
Yes, I do.
Do you still have my phone number?
Yes, I do.
All you had to do was pick up the phone and call. Okay. So, and by the way, I'm hearing feedback, so I don't know why. I don't know if it's just me, but you know, the great thing about this is that getting scared is one thing, and I even when I get scared, I'll pick up the phone and I'll call people. Okay, because it doesn't matter if you're doing if you get scared over a $5,000 deal or if you're doing $1 million deal, you're still scared. At the same time, you're able to at least, call up and say, hey, you know what do you think of this deal? Or what do you think of that deal? And, I know Scott Spear gets calls. If I find storage facilities, I'll call up Scott or Gabe. Okay. Because, I'm relatively new at that. And, so you have the exact same ability to do that here. And once you realize that, hey, this person says, this could be possible, and you walk through it, you can mitigate your risks. You're not going to be as scared. We were all scared. Okay. And don't think we still don't get scared, especially when you're doing deals with multiple commas in them.
Yeah, let me just interject a little bit, Joe. One of the things that we do as an organization is we have people who are vendor members. And so one of the things that I would suggest is that people actually look at the website, see who those folks are that are vendor members. And in your case, Gregory, one of the people, and I don't know who you used as the attorney or was considered using as the attorney. We basically have individuals that are vendor members, and they have a lot of exposure to real estate investors that are part of our organization and real estate investors in general. In other words, they have knowledge around the pieces that you're looking at trying to do. So, for example, in the area we're talking about right now, I think most of the people on this call who have been in real estate investing for a while probably use the same attorney, and that's Steve Peterson. And all his contact information is online and on the website. And when you first start looking for someone, I would suggest that you start with that particular list, because that's individuals who are understanding of what it is that you're trying to accomplish, and they will be cautious, but at the same time, they know what your objective is. So consider that as you go forward. And Steve Peterson has been, well, he's the person that's created the organization. He created Freedom First. So ever since the very beginning, he's been around, and he's a very well-known and very capable attorney in Monroe County and beyond.
And Gregory, do you live in Rochester, or where are you located?
I'm here in Rochester still.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, in that case, I got to yell at you even more for not even picking up the phone and calling. Are you serious?
Well, that's how I actually got your contact. I seen the billboard driving down Mount Reed, and I called, and you invited me out to one of the meetings, 2018, I believe it was. I came to the meeting. I think I met you and Chris Lawrence at that meeting. And I actually had you come by my mother-in-law's place on Woodbine, because she was trying to sell it pre-COVID. And you and Chris had came by, and it was seeing if it was a good deal or not.
Wow. 2018 was a lot of houses ago.
That's how long I've been procrastinating and trying to figure it out, and still learning, watching videos.
Listen, we'll gently slap you around on the phone respectfully.
Hey, I need it, man. It can't be that challenging, man.
Listen, the longer you wait to do stuff, the better your competition likes it.
That makes sense.
You mean you've been watching videos for 4 years?
Maybe longer.
You need to dip your toe in the water.
Oh man. Yeah, I got an overload of information, man, and I just I don't know. That when I guess like I said, that doing that first deal, it scared the life out of me, and I just procrastinated ever since. Like, I don't think I can do it.
It's okay. It's okay. And that's a great thing about this group, Gregory, because you can always start. There's people getting called in real estate when they're 70 years old. Okay. I know you're nowhere near 70. As long as you start, and that's all that matters, but you need to be able to take advantage of the people on this call, not take advantage of them. Just, because sometimes you can also partner up, work together, and then, earn as you learn, and then be able to, if you want to go off on your own or stay partners, or whatever, it gives you that option. Okay.
Okay. Definitely appreciate that.
Yeah,
Another thing too, Gregory, and I'm not sure where the echo is coming from. Gregory, go ahead and mute for a minute.
Yeah, I think it's from his end.
I think so. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if you hear or not, Gregory. When we talk and you're unmuted, it echoes for some reason. I'm not sure why, but come to the meetings. Come to the meetings, meet real people. Especially now, I know it's been Zooms for a long time, but now that we're having in-person general meetings, come to the meetings and start meeting with people and see who's doing things, and just find somebody. Stop watching videos. I'm going to tell you that right now. I know a lot of my analysis paralysis comes from watching videos and shiny objects and seeing things. Oh, this is cool. Let's try this. And then you go to do things and they don't work in New York State. New York State's a much different state to operate in. So, and don't let that stuff scare you. Just if something like that comes up again, don't hesitate to call somebody, especially somebody in the FFREIA group. If whatever that person said about the contract, just say, hey, I'm interested in buying the property. How can we put together a contract that will suffice for the sellers? So, lots of deals out there to be had. You're young. Let's go get some deals and get some things done. And, we're all gonna be excited when you put that first one together for you. Because, a good friend of mine, Mike Wagner, says 1 is halfway to 10. What he means by that, the first one's the hardest. It really is. But once you do that first one, you go, hey, that wasn't so bad. And then you just do it again and again. And, before you know it, you're just off and running. So you'll get there. Just hang out with this group. There are videos on the website, the Freedom First website. Check those out. So, yeah, thanks for bringing it up. Anybody else have any input for Gregory on how to get over, especially somebody who's new? I mean, Joe and Dan Head and Leon and I have been doing it for years. Anybody who's fairly new that maybe just got over something like that?
Well, I want to say something, Scott. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Just want to interject real quick, and to Gregory, no question is to. There's no stupid question. Let me make an example. About a month, 2 months ago, maybe 3. I don't know. I had a deal in, where was it, Scott, Nebraska? But I had a deal on owner financing, and it was my first dip into the pond about owner financing. I really didn't know anything because, as I grow in my business, I'm getting more experience, and taking action. But I called Joe, and because I wanted to know, what do I say? How do I lead this guy to owner financing? How do I, what words or what kind of what exactly, not exactly what I need to say, but kind of summarize what I can say to get this guy, my sales pitch, if you will, to get him to do owner financing. He bought into it. His partners didn't, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. The point is that when you call someone in this group, the power of the group is that they'll help you out and giving back as well. Of course, it's give and take, but there's so much knowledge and experience from inexperienced people like me that it's unsurmountable how much wealth of knowledge and information you get just by picking up the phone. Like Joe says, pick up the damn phone and call someone, text them. No, forget text. Call them. Just call and ask a question. And to by the way, my dad is that the advice that Joe gave me, and like Joe, I think you again for that, actually led the guy, even though the deal fell through. The point I'm trying to make is that the guy actually bought into the owner financing, and now that's my sales pitch every single time I call a facility, and it works most of the time. So the point I'm trying to make again to you, Gregory, is that just do it. But if you call someone, man, you'll be surprised as how much information and knowledge you could find, and it works. It worked for me. So just a living proof. So that's my 2-3 cents.
On owner financing, I will say the knee-jerk reaction all the time is because I'll call and ask, and they'll say, "Oh no, they wouldn't consider that," and I'll just ask why, and it's because they've been told, they hear horror stories about having to take back properties and everything, and you got to have them look at the advantages. One of the advantages, now, they don't immediately have to pay capital gains on the whole value. If they have a property that has a lot of equity, they're going to pay the tax man a lot of money. And if you've got good credit and a good track record, there's no reason they shouldn't consider that, at least for a 3 to 5 year period. And but I can't tell you the number of times I've called and said, would they consider owner financing? And oh no, they wouldn't. And I'll ask why, and they don't have a good answer.
I've got something that I use for that, Dan, but we're going to stay on a few minutes longer. I know it's because I've got a few extra minutes, but we want to be respectful of the people that are on the call. If you need to go, by all means, obviously it's 10:30. You want to be respectful here. I know I can hang out for a few more minutes. I don't know what Scott's. I don't know if Scott can or not or whatever.
Yeah, I can hang out. Yeah.
But for those of you who have to get off, whatever you got to do for next Tuesday night, you definitely want to be
Thursday.
There. What?
Next Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday night. Sorry. Next Thursday night. Thank you. You definitely got to be there to see, and plus you'll be able to meet and talk with Scott in person and be able to see as to why he was able to go from real estate here on. And now he just drives around all over the country. And while he's driving around, he's still buying mobile homes, storage facilities. Sorry. So you definitely
Give me a right, Joe.
Yeah, let me tell you. So that's actually fantastic. So definitely be there. And for those you have to go, we appreciate you being here. You guys have a great day, great morning. Go do some real estate.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe, for that intro. I appreciate it. And just so everybody knows, I buy self-storage, and the meeting's gonna be next Thursday at Ferrari's Pizza. Networking will start at 5, go to 7. Meeting will start about, I think, 7 o'clock. I'm gonna talk for, 45 minutes or so. And then, that's it. We hope everybody can make it there. I'm gonna hang out for a few minutes too, especially if you can hang out. If Joe Laubert is going to talk about how you get people to do owner financing, I definitely want to hear that. And if you got a few minutes to hang out, I definitely think it's going to be worth it. So,
Scott, is
thank
that
everybody for coming.
in
And
East Rochester?
yeah, Ferrari's Pizza in East Rochester. It is on the website too, the FFREIA website. If anybody doesn't know, that's FFREIA.com is the website. And you're welcome to bring guests if you want. Anybody can attend. Your first 2 meetings are free. If you're on this isn't your first one. This is number 1, and the general meeting could be number 2 for you. So, but just keep coming back too, everybody. So, go ahead, Joe. Let's hear how you handle owner financing.
There's a couple of different ways. One of the things that I don't like to ask people to do owner financing. I'll ask it a different way. When I'm talking to people, I'll say, listen, a lot of times, you know what, we'll go in there, obviously, look, we'll go into a property and we'll pay cash. Okay. Whether it be we have our private lenders or we just write a check. And then sometimes, Mr. or Mrs. Seller, I'll run into a situation where the people, such as yourselves, have owned the property for such a long time. All of a sudden they go to sell the property and Uncle Sam comes in there and they have their hands in our pockets down to our kneecaps, trying to get down to our ankles, trying to tie my shoes or your shoes, that way. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I go, well, and I've used examples such as my parents. My parents one time had a house that had a place in Webster and Empire Boulevard. It was a commercial building. They owned it for a long, long time, and they wanted to sell it. And then they realized that the government was going to take a huge chunk of their money up front. And so what they found was, was that if they held the mortgage, number one, it would definitely reduce their capital gains, able to keep more of the money. And then they were able to also every single month make more on the back end because they were also getting interest on the back end. And we've actually had to do that for people because it was more advantageous for them. And then some of the people, what ends up happening is that some of them were like, well, because, we're getting to know each other, they were a little nervous about holding paper for someone they don't know. And what I tell them, I go, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, whenever we buy a property, we make it better. Okay. So by the time we're done with this property, it's going to be worth a heck of a lot more. As a matter of fact, you will secretly be hoping and wishing that I stop paying you so you can take back the property. Okay. But it's not going to happen because number one, no one's going to ruin our track record. We've never, ever once ever had to do that. And it's also not good for our reputation. Now, we don't know if it's going to be better for you to take cash, which is fine, or if it may be more advantageous for you to be able to consider owner financing. And that's just the way I kind of open it up that way, especially on the much bigger deals. Okay. That's one of the ways that I do it. It's not, it's not a one size fits all thing, but I don't like to ask yes or no questions because you have a 50% chance of them saying no. Okay. And so I kind of present it to them in a different manner. So they're kind of like, so it gets them thinking and it gets them wondering. And then if they start asking questions, that's when you've got them actually considering it. Okay.
Yeah, Joe, I have one I bought a couple of years ago, and I got a really good rate on it, and I convinced the owner to allow me to have that assumable if I choose to. And I bought it 3 years ago. I still have it, but I have an assumable loan with the owner's approval, of course.
Yes.
But it's at 2.5%.
2.5%.
2.5%. So
that's fantastic.
So yeah. I mean, there's certainly a premium that I would expect. I expect to get my price if I get somebody who's got good credit and a good track record. Yeah. But I'm going to benefit from that as well as the buyer.
Yeah, yeah. Either you give them their price in your terms, or vice versa. So yeah, it's just the way, and a lot of people aren't familiar with owner financing. They're like, well, what happens this? And, and as long as they feel, and by the way, if they don't feel comfortable with you, they're not going to do it. Okay. You have to have that trust factor going on, because if they 1% doubt, they're out. Okay. They need to know. And, especially when I tell them, and I joke with them, I tell them, look, you're secretly going to want me to stop paying you so you can take back the property, because it's going to be worth so much more money, because we're going to be going in, we're going to be putting in new kitchen, new bathrooms. We're going to be doing this. So we're putting our money where our mouth is. So you're going to have our feet to the fire also. Okay. It's just, it's strength of language, and then being able to actually communicate with those sellers in the right way. Okay. It's not, again, this is not the be all to end all. This is what I do. And it's worked out actually pretty well. Instead of me getting that resounding, no way, you're out of your mind, blah, blah, blah. It just gets them thinking. That's all. Okay. Any questions on that? Or anything anybody wants to add on, please feel free.
That's exactly why I always ask why, because that gets to the real, they haven't thought it through. So I like your thought of either this or that. That's good. Having options. Yeah, we could pay cash, but we could do it this way. But
Yeah.
it's so funny when you get the no, and I'll ask why, and they don't have a good reason. Or they'll say, well, because I don't want to have to take the property back. And, you know, you're in the property acquisition business, not the property give back business. You know, when you're buying, so.
Yep, yeah. So,
Okay, so the good thing is this meeting was recorded, and after it goes up, I'm gonna go back and watch what Joe said, so I can, you know, hammer that back home. That was great information, Joe. Thanks for sharing that. And anybody, unless you took really good notes, I would go back and watch that last, 10 minutes or 5 minutes of Joe talking about how he talks to people about owner financing, because owner financing is a huge key in this business. And like Joe said, you're either buying a price or you're buying terms. Sometimes you can get both. And what he meant by that was you're either going to get a great price on a property or you're going to get really good terms like owner financing. And, I've got a couple things right now that are owner finance at 0% interest. The deal worked out really well, and it's all because I asked. So, like Joe said, you have to ask, you have to talk about how you do it. And then like Dan said, if they say no, just ask them why. And a lot of times they may not know why because they don't know enough about owner financing, but it's been a huge key for me.
I can tell you, if you're dealing with agents are afraid they're not going to get paid in an owner finance deal if you're not putting enough money down. So make sure you're putting 10, 20, 25% down, and then the agent won't worry so much about getting paid. So their reaction is no, because they want to make sure they get paid. And if you're putting enough down, they're going to get they're going to get paid their broker's fee. And so you got to look past that. It's their reaction to feeling that, if you want to go 0 or 5% down, that they're going to be out and the owner's not going to want to pay them or negotiate their fees. So if you're dealing with a broker, make sure there's an understanding that there'll be enough down where they don't have to worry about their pay.
yeah.
Good point. All right. Well, I myself have to sign off, everybody. Have a great day. Look forward to seeing everybody, plus other people that you bring next week, Thursday. And thanks everybody for joining.
Yeah.
Y'all have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Joe, I got a question for you. Joe?
Why don't you call me, Dan?
All right.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Everybody have a great morning. Go do real estate.
See you guys. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye. Bye.